And good evening, and welcome to City Focus. I'm Marty Olsen, your host, and tonight we'll be running solo, so you'll be left with my wit and wisdom, and I certainly encourage phone calls to make it conversational. And the number to call is 860-445-7499. And it's an open mic, so we can talk about anything. So it could be local, state, federal, politics, whatever you like, sports, social service. I'm game for anything. But I would like to open tonight with the Kiwanis Club of New London's annual golf tournament. And this is our club's primary fundraiser for the year, and it supports all of our charitable giving. And it's scheduled to be on Friday, September 19th at Shinnecossett in Groton. And we've been there for at least, if not more than 25 years, every year putting on this tournament. And I must say that the pro shop and the restaurant do terrific jobs. They've been terrific with us, and I want to compliment them for their efforts and help to make the event a smooth event that people enjoy. And we've developed quite a rapport with the community, and people come back, so we appreciate that. One thing that we've been able to do this year is that Shenny has as we all know, we've had inflation and rising prices, so this year they've decided to raise their greens fees a little bit. However, the Kiwanis Club, in an effort to be player and user friendly, we are holding our player fees to $175, which we had last year, and I hope that's appreciated, and it'll encourage folks to come on down and participate. I might add that we've also decided, because of rising prices and costs, to raise our prize money for the tournament. We have been at a total of $750 for a good number of years, and we decided in our committee for the tournament to go up to $1,200, and that breaks out at $400 for first place team, $300 for the second place team, and $200 for the third place team. We also have special prizes. There are 4 par 3s, and we have prizes for each of the par 3s for closest to the pin, and that will go up from $25 to $50. We also have a long drive contest for the men and women, and they will also go up from $25 to $50. So we're hoping that folks will appreciate that we're trying to reach out and get more excitement and more folks angling to be the top dog this year. Noting the fundraising of the tournament, the Kiwanis Club also this year is going to be awarding 4 $3,000 scholarships to local area high school students going on to college next year. So that's well, let's see who we have here. You're on the air. Good evening. Good evening, you're on the air.
Okay, hey Marty.
Yes.
How you doing?
How are you?
I got kind of screwed up with the phone number trying to get it. Of course, I can't see a thing. So good thing a friend of ours is here, and she managed to call. Anyway, hey, my first question would be this, Marty. I hope you're paying attention.
Well, I always try to pay attention, and I know your mind is sharp as a whip. So what do we got?
Yeah, okay. Well, the first question is the tax on gasoline right now is 70 cents a gallon. So if we're not allowed to buy gas anymore and we're forced to buy electric cars, where is all that money going to come from to rebuild the streets and highways?
Well, I'll tell you, I believe that President Trump does not subscribe to the all-electric vehicle mantra, and I mean, he's advocating to drill, baby, drill, and bring gas prices down and fuel and energy, and that should be a catapult for our economy. And I buy into the president's line of thinking on this. The go all electric was a Biden plank, you might say, but as things are evolving, I wonder who the heck was running the White House during his administration, because it didn't seem like he was spending too much time doing it.
I suppose he was, but I asked a question, but I can always give my thought of an answer on it.
Well, I'd like to get your thoughts too. I've given you my answer. I don't think it's going to fly. I mean, Trump is backing off on all that stuff.
Well, yeah, I know President Trump says he's down on electric cars, but as far as I know, it's still in place that they want electric cars.
Yeah.
But my original question, now let's say there was 18.5 cents a gallon on federal tax, and the state of Connecticut adds 25 cents, and the state adds another tax, 26 cents, and another tax, I believe by the state, excise tax, and possibly even sales tax. So it amounts to 70 cents. And I heard that before, and I checked it again. So
Yeah, well,
it's still 70 cents.
to be specific to your question, Larry, I just would say that if that all-electric vehicle situation should ever come to pass, and quite frankly, I don't see that happening anytime soon, your theory is how are we going to pay for our roads and repairs and things of that nature without the tax, and you're correct.
Okay.
We count on that.
Answer. Yeah. All right. Now, my answer so far is, why do you think all over the country they want to build these, I don't know what they call them, DACA or whatever, cyber center places, that have so much, the whole building is nothing but a giant computer that burns more electricity than any other industry, and it throws off so much more heat. But I believe what they want those up for, like the one they want locally, they want it right close to the power plant in Waterford, because they want to make sure they have power all the time. My thought is that they will be able to keep track of every mile that your electric car moves out of the driveway. And at the end of the month, they will send you a bill. So that will take the place of the 70 cent gasoline tax that they say is so terrible. But that's my answer right now. That's one of the answers.
Okay, well, listen, I think that they're going to have to do something to replace the gas tax if they no longer allow the consumption of gasoline. But like I say, I doubt that that's going to come anytime soon. Certainly during the Trump administration, and if the GOP maintains control of the White House, I think that will continue. So, but I think that Trump makes strong arguments to maintain, the auto industry and let the market decide. And Trump is not anti-electric car. What he's for is choice. If you'd like to buy an electric car and it's viable, knock yourself out. And I think that that's a good idea. I subscribe to that. But I don't like the idea of being mandated and being told by the big brother that you must have an electric car. They're expensive to buy. They're expensive to run. People haven't given clarity, as you have, regarding fuel. And repairs to these things are going to be prohibitive. People haven't, really looked this thing through.
Okay. All right. Here's another number for you.
Sure.
There's 300,000 cars cross Washington Bridge a day. 300,000. So picture 300,000 electric cars crossing the bridge and going on the Jersey Turnpike. So that means 300,000 electric cars on the Turnpike. Now this accounts for both directions. So, 150,000 each. So, would there be enough stations to handle them? And if there were, how fat would the copper cables have to be to carry all of that power? To charge that many cars. Just like if they have 300,000 cars a day crossing the bridge, where are they going to have 300,000 charging stations for at night? So after that, I'll go on to something else if you're ready.
Well, those are good questions, and again, I don't think that this has been very well thought out by the powers to be from the prior administration. Again, I think that you're not going to see that kind of change during the Trump administration. I mean, he's more inclined to, if you'd like to buy an electric car, if you'd like to buy a Ford Ranger or F-150, knock yourself out. Buy what you want. Let the consumer have the choice.
Yeah, okay. Now, all right. I can switch to something a little more local now.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure.
Oh, right. I understand, I can't see them, but, people have been telling me that there's been all kinds of apartments being built around town and in adjoining towns. So right now, with, a quick addition, I'm coming up with about 2,000 apartments, 2,000 of them. Now, right now, we're supplying water for, 3 other towns, and I think the fourth town, not 100%, but at least 50% of their water. And we're also supplying the sewer service for these towns. And we are being charged the exact same amount for the water and sewer as these other towns. But we, in this town, bought the water supply, so we have to maintain it and pay for the retirement and everything else. And but then we sell it to other towns for the same price that we pay, which doesn't sound right. Now, the other thing is, as far as I remember, you can correct me anytime, it was years back, the sewer plant capacity was 40 million gallons a day. And we were using, I guess, what I remember, 30 million a day. So we had, room for 10 million. But years ago, we also had an overflow pipe from the storm drains into the sewer lines. So whenever the storm drain couldn't handle it all, water was forced over into the sewer line and added to the sewer plant. So eventually the sewer settling tanks were filled and overfilled. So what do you think the sewer plant had to do in order to get itself out of that predicament?
Well, I think that the Waterford, who has full service of water and sewer, they pay a surcharge, and East Lyme, for what they send through Waterford, they're paying a surcharge, and that's with water. And out in the shoreline and the limes, they're now being forced into the water, the stormwater, not stormwater, but the sewage. And each town that it goes through is antes up a little bit on that. I mean, and we get a piece of that, Larry. It may not be as much as you'd like, but we're not giving it to them for free.
Yeah, I know, not free, but we got to pay the same price. No, the other thing though that I'm worried about is not so much the price. That's just something else thrown in. The capacity. If we're going to add 2,000 apartments, are we going to have enough water to supply everybody? Now, if you remember, maybe 12 years ago now, I can only guess, I can't remember exactly, we were rationing water for the residents here in New London. Now that we're going to add so many more apartments, are we going to have a shortage, a constant shortage? Well, what's going on? Do you have any ideas on that?
Well, specifically, I don't. But you raise a good question. I don't recall reading about this being given any serious consideration with all the building, and there has been significant building of apartments, and they're all high-end apartments, I might add. And this is where what concerns me with the apartments is that you're going to see the local New London people getting pushed out of town because they can't afford the rising cost of rental property. And I also worry that the folks coming in, and I think their market is primarily EB, maybe a little bit of the hospital, but not really too much, is that if there are changes in the market or the government decides that they don't want to continue building submarines at the level that they are now, and they cut back, these places are going to be ghost towns.
Oh, yeah. But, I haven't heard any kind of answer about the added apartments and the existing water and sewer supply company.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Larry. I can't say that I have read anything of any significance with the additional consumers, how that's going to impact the system. I can't say that I have.
Okay. All right. Now, here's another one.
Okay.
I heard on the news that the town was getting $17 million to make improvements on the waterfront. Now, I don't know if you know anything about that.
Our waterfront, or which waterfront?
Well, I assume that to be the London Harbor.
Well, again, that's something that I would have to do a little research on, Larry. I'm not up to speed on specifically what they may have up their sleeve with that kind of dough. Okay. All I know is what I see. The restaurant that was down there on the pier is gone, so that didn't work out, and they're cutting back on a sail fest because they can't afford it. And I was advised by a gentleman who was the head of the highway division in Public Works that they're down to 2 guys. So I asked him, who's going to do the repairs on the pavement with the potholes? He says, no one. You know, who's going to shovel and plow the snow? You know, and we don't have the personnel now to take care of our own stuff.
Okay. Now, I was told that first thing to get money is the ferry company to build a new bulkhead. So I don't know how many millions are going to go there. And the other thing, I have to guess on this one now. Part of it is a guess. You know, at the time, years back, when we were supposed to decide where the Coast Guard Museum was going to go, they were told, or at least I was told, and I don't understand why I was told, and I haven't heard it from anyone else, so I never really repeated it, because I didn't think it was my place to. Anyway, the city council was told way back then that if they had decided to build that museum in Fort Trumbull, where so many other people in town wanted it, that the state was ready to give them, I couldn't believe it, the amount of millions. The state was ready to give them so many millions to build a railway platform, is what they called it. So that would mean a second stop in New London, right in front of the museum. Then they could have built their skywalk right from that platform over that one road, that's like a supply road, and into the second floor of the museum. And the land around would be plenty of room for parking and more room for expansion when they wanted it. So that's but I never heard that mentioned, and since it was somebody from the state that told me about it, I figured it wasn't my place to talk about it. Because I figured, why would they tell me and the city council not know about it? So I think possibly what happened, because so much of the government in town wanted that museum downtown, they decided to build it over the water. And by building it over the water, because it's a federal water, now that was a federal project. So all the money is supposed to go towards building that useless skywalk they want from now they added the garage, to one end of it.
Yeah.
And they wanted it on the, down on the ground for the railway station, and on the other side of the railway station, and then into the museum, and then down to the ferry. Well, when they had the presentation many years ago, I went to it, and when it was my turn to speak, I said, wait a minute now. The railway and the ferry, I said, those are private companies, private owners. Now, that skywalk at the time was to end on private property and begin on private property. So why are you telling us? If those two, want that skywalk to go from their property, to the opposite property, if they wanted it and it was their property, they should build it. So why are you telling us? And, the state, come up with, well, we wanted to taxpayers in town
Yeah.
pay for the maintenance.
Yeah. Well, the state of Connecticut pledged, I think it's $20 million for a walkway from the museum to the garage over on South Water Street, and I had asked the question because this has been rejected many times before, and I said, are you guaranteeing that this will not be built until the museum is finished? And we were all advised that that would be true, because I'm concerned that this museum may not get built and they'll still build this walkway, which, by the way, the city's going to be responsible for. And there's no record of the council ever voting affirmatively on taking on that responsibility. I'm very, very disappointed in that. And as far as Fort Trumbull goes with the museum, that's a location that I and many in the community support. I think many more so than where they're plopping it down now, is that you've got a history down there of the Coast Guard. You've got the Coast Guard station that's operational down there now. There was land that would be room for expansion and parking and things of that nature. But this was about a dozen years ago, and I was mayor that year, Larry, if you may recall, and Admiral Papp was the commandant of the Coast Guard. And here's a guy who was from Norwich, and he ought to have known what was going on, but he made the decision to go downtown, and I think his primary consideration was he didn't want to have the Coast Guard associated with any of the stain of the eminent domain down in Fort Trumbull, and that's why they made that relocation. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. No, I remember, that was part of the reason that they wanted the city council to make the decision on their own without anybody, saying anything, because I know the Coast Guard at that time said they would not build on any land that was taken by eminent domain. Now, the other thing was, one other reason when I mentioned that they were building that in federal water, that made that a federal project now. So as a federal project, to add the skywalk to it would put it in a different class, and they expected to get federal money to finish the museum and to build that skywalk. So,
yeah, well, no, Larry, no federal money can be used for bricks and mortar on this building. That's the law. Any of these museums that for the Army, the Navy, the Marines, etc., the brick and mortar has to be privately raised, and there is a foundation that's raising money for this museum. I think the fundraising has been abysmal. The community certainly hasn't bought into it, and many Coast Guard officers that I've spoken to, they haven't bought into it. I mean, there's a reason why this thing's dragging on forever, and there's not a lot of support for it, especially at its current location. However, the feds can, and their money has been appropriated for some of the treasures that are going to be put into the museum. They can be paid for with federal money, but not the brick and mortar to get the facility built.
Okay, so some more of that money goes to State Pier, because they also want to add right now the electric and water to the dock, to tie up to, hook up to the ships when they come in. Now, it just reminded me, now when that supply ship comes in, that heavy lifting ship they call it, comes in, they come up to the dock, well, they have to pay dockage. I have never heard how much the dockage is for that boat to come in and how much dockage it costs every day that they're tied up there. And whatever the amount is, who gets it? Now, does New London get it? I doubt it, because it's a state pier. It's not New London pier, where it should have been for years. And the other thing is, I guess, they dumped in, I think it was, 27,000 yards of fill, and it's been tested again, and I guess they found, I don't know how much, no, I can't, I don't know about getting the figures, how much of it is all wrong, so it has to come out and be replaced with real stuff. So, I think they also want to, I haven't been over there. It's hard for me to remember, where the lobster boats tie up, and I think some of the scallop boats tie up. There's like a little creek, and I think the newest thing. Let's see, what do they want? They said 211 or 200 million more. I guess they want to spend there, and they actually want to fill that section in so they can make more land. I don't know why they need it or what they have in mind, because they never tell us ahead of time what they want to do.
Well,
So,
I mean, as of right now, the taxpayers of the state of Connecticut are getting creamed by this project down at State Pier. I mean, the firm that's doing the construction and on the pier and did the fill, they pledged, I believe it was $93 or $95 million, and anything over that, the state is absorbing it, and it's up over $350 million. So, and Trump is not supporting wind power. So it gives me reason to pause and say, what the heck's going on here? And who's going to continue to pay for this stuff?
Yeah. Okay. Now, I remember we used to have 144 ships come in, one at a time, to be unloaded. 144 for the year. And I guess you had 65 regular, Steve doors there, I guess you would call them, to handle it. They could empty out a steel freighter in 3 days. Now, that same ship had a choice. Well, the ship didn't, but the people running the dock had a choice. They would sometimes send the ship to the dock in Baltimore, and in Baltimore it would take 4 days to unload, and 3 days here. So here was a better place for a ship owner, because it wouldn't have to pay the dockage for the fourth day or the third night, whatever it was. And here we're so much closer to the ocean. We're only 7 miles maybe away from the ocean. That's hard to believe. But that brings me to something else. It was a couple of senators in New York that brought the ocean in 18 miles closer than it used to be for many, many years. And when they were going to Bridgeport, well, anyway, the other thing was, since we didn't have the 144 ships come in anymore, my suggestion was, why don't we, in the meantime, bring barges in that are loaded with containers? I said for years, barges with containers came in through the race and went down the Sound and were unloaded at Bridgeport. Now, I don't know what happened, why they're not there anymore. Well, I said, why can't we do it here? I said, I saw in the other port where all they needed was room to tie the barge up and 2 mobile cranes. Well, we already have 2 mobile cranes there. I said the only thing you would have to buy would be 3 travel lifts. One height, the second height, and the third height. To move the containers around. And you have 7 acres. That's 304,000 square feet of be able to park trucks and load them up and go out, and otherwise go in the travel lift and move to the storage place. And the answer I got was, no, we don't want to bother with that. I said, wait a minute. We've got 65 people working there. They own property in town. They pay their taxes in town. Why don't you want them there? Well, because the pier is state pier. It's not the London pier. I said, so what? You've got 65 people, 65 families depending on that. I really didn't get a decent answer. The answer I got was, well, it belongs to the state. Here's something else, that goes along with what I was told about the museum before. At that same time, I was also told that the state was considering turning State Pier back over to New London, to be New London Pier. But the way he was talking, I didn't bother to tell him. So I don't know, if anybody else believes it or not. I don't care. It's up to them what they want to believe. Okay, now I want to skip to north of the Gold Star Memorial Bridge.
Yes.
There is a company, I believe, Mohawk Industries, that is talking about building a marina up there. And something like they want to dredge to bring bigger boats up there to unload. And it's something like 300,000 yards of mud and sludge, to dig up. The dock they want to build is 400 feet long and 100 feet wide. 100 feet wide, I guess, is so trucks can drive right on there. And let's see, they want to fill in a little bit more, so they get a little bit more land, and run a spur from the railroad tracks closer to the dock. And I think there's a section of it where the Indians, I think many years ago, that's where they built the high-speed ferries. Now, I don't know if they have that in mind again to open up that business. But then, of course, when I was talking about the ferry company getting money, they also mentioned they wanted room for their high-speed ferry. So I don't know if they're going to really have that again or not. So, I hear some of these things, and I try to find out a little bit if I can, but I don't hear much about it again, so I don't know if you heard about that one at all.
Well, that one there has escaped me. I read the paper pretty carefully, and the paper and Lee Elsey in the morning are my two primary local resources for news.
Yeah. Because I was thinking about the mayor. I asked him. Let me see. I'm trying to think what it was, because I asked so many about his solar farm, and he said he wanted to blacktop 4.5 acres. So I asked the local, driveway builder,
Yep.
to put down the blacktop. I said, since the mayor wants to, get somebody to make 4.5 acres blacktop, the answer I got there was, the town never asks anybody local for anything like that. I said, that doesn't make sense, because he also makes speeches about he wants local businesses, for his enterprise zone, to build a bigger tax base. But then he won't do anything with local contractors. Anyway, that one went by the board.
Yeah.
But the solar farm, it's supposed to be 4.5 acres. Well, then the following year, let's do it a little more. That'd be 6 acres. Well, then 20 acres. And,
well, we often with these projects, they don't look at the unintended consequences of what they're doing, and things are often not very well thought out. Larry, we're running out of time here, and I've got a couple of things I'd like to discuss on a couple of different topics here, but I really appreciate you taking the time to call the program and share your thoughts and concerns. I think you livened up things a lot, and I want to say thank you.
Okay. The time went by so fast. All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead. It's your show. I should have let you talk, but I've been holding it back for so long. I couldn't help it.
That's okay, Larry. I appreciate the call and your input, and say hello to your lovely bride for me.
Yeah, she just got back from emergency up in the hospital.
Okay. Well, listen, you have a good night, and I'll try to stop by and see you sometime soon.
Yeah, okay, and see what kind of response you get so we can do it again, and maybe we might even let somebody else get in.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
All righty, Larry. We'll catch you soon.
All right.
All right, good night.
Okay. Good night now.
Yep. Well, that was Larry Hample, and he's a local guy in New London, and he loves the community, and he has pays attention, and he's not shy about sharing his thoughts on how we can make our community a better place. But I do have a few things I'd like to share with you before we do run out of time, and tomorrow is the annual Yale-Harvard Regatta Luncheon, and it's a joint project between the 3 service clubs in New London, hosted by New London Rotary and the New London Kiwanis Club and New London Lions Club. And this will be held up at the Coast Guard Academy at the Smith Consolidated Hall, formerly known as the Officers Club. It's always been a terrific program with speakers and a lot of enthusiasm and collegiality between the 2 fine institutions. So I just wanted to share that. Yesterday afternoon, I took a little bit of time and I was able to watch the New London High School Whaler baseball team play. This is a state tournament game in round 2, and New London hosted Newington High School, and they defeated them 8-1, and they move on to the state quarterfinals in their division. And I believe they're playing Saturday. I don't know if an opponent has been determined yet, but it was fun to watch the youngsters play. They played a pretty, I thought, sharp game yesterday. And if I'm able to, it would be nice to see them play again over the weekend. Let's see, I would also like to issue, I don't want to say a challenge is the right word, but I'm interested to get people's thoughts on a number of topics. One I bring up almost every week, and that's the New London Community Center down at Fort Trumbull. I'd like to know how many people have signed up. And all their pronouncements, I think, are keeping that point moot because things aren't going as well as they would like. And I think if they were having a rush to join, they would be putting that out in the news as often as possible, that it's exciting, it's dynamic, and people can't wait to belong. And I mean, I'm sensing a potential financial disaster, and the New London taxpayers are going to get hit hard over the course of time if this thing can't sustain itself. I'd also like to get some feedback from folks. The mayor purchased what's called an indestructible head or bathroom for Toby May Field for $171,000. Got it at Fisher's Island. And what do you think of that? I have a hard time believing that those who vandalize our community as it is are going to be deterred by this rather expensive toilet. So please share your thoughts. Let me know what you're thinking. And also share it with our community leaders. I mentioned that Public Works, the Highway Division, is down to 2 employees earlier. And how are they going to do their job? I mean, it just blows my mind. And I'd also like to get some feedback on what you think of the colored lights as you come down off the highway and Route 32 coming into downtown New London, these decorative lighting, I'll call them. And we have decorative lighting on Bank Street. Is this a good use of money? Are we getting any value out of this? I mean, who thinks this stuff up? You know, one thing I've noticed in my lifetime here in the Whaling City is that we have a propensity when we get a grant, by definition, somebody else is paying for it, and therefore it must be good. And we don't care about the the costs and what will go on after the fact. And it just, sometimes you have to learn to say, you know, this isn't in our best interest. But New London hasn't kind of caught on to that line of thinking yet. And one last couple of points I'd like to make on the, I'll stay on New London for a moment. This is a bit more on the positive side. And that is at Ocean Beach Park on Monday nights, they have the cruise night car show. And it's a lot of fun. The beach is open for free for Monday nights. And if you haven't been down, lots and lots of folks from the region bring in their antiques and muscle cars, motorcycles. And it's fun, it's social. And I can't think of a better place to be in the summertime in the evening in Ocean Beach Park. So take a ride down every Monday, weather permitting. And it's a lot of fun, so take me up on that one. And I think I'll close the show tonight with something on the federal level, and that is with President Trump. You know, he has accomplished an extraordinary amount of ideas and legislative action. However, so much of it, he's been doing it via executive order by his fiat. And I'm concerned that by bypassing Congress, that at the end of his term, that much of what he's doing will just get wiped out by the next person in office. And kind of like what Biden did to Trump the first time, and now Trump's doing to Biden the second time. And I don't think that this is good, necessarily the best way to govern. The Congress is there for a reason, and that is to debate and help make decisions. And the president's job is to effectuate past legislation. So I keep a wary eye on that. I'm supportive of much of what Trump is doing, but this is an area where I think that he's got to take the blinders off. I mean, it's not just him. He's got 100 senators and 435 congressmen, and they all have their pet projects and things and their egos. You know, you got 535 egomaniacs down there from across the land. But when you opt to go over them, that doesn't do much to encourage them to play ball with you. So let's see what he does. But my fingers are crossed it'll be positive and good for the country. And with that, I think it's a good time now to call it a night. I want to thank those of you who are watching. City Focus, next week I will have Dave Putnam coming in to keep me company, and he's just recently retired as the recreation director in East Lyme, and he's running the Miracle Field out in East Lyme for handicapped folks. It's a terrific project. They're moving on to phase 3, and I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say. It's a regional project, so if you've got children and teens that have physical or perhaps mental, they're not fully capacitated. Boy, that was tough. This place is it's a miracle, as they say, and I think you'll enjoy the program. And Dave knows this thing inside and out, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. So with that, I will say good night, and we'll see you next week on City Focus.